Renato Moicano posted this video on his YouTube channel responding to people who picked against him at UFC 300. And it was funny. Renato Moicano is a funny guy. And the reason I'm making this video is because he not only responded to Israel Adesanya and Dan Hooker, who picked against him on Adesanya's YouTube channel, but also some of the comments they had both made about him. First of all, he responded to Israel Adesanya's comments about how he talked about wanting to be a police officer and protect America, and just pointing out how Adesanya got everything he said about Moicano's comments pretty much completely wrong, and Red Pill MMA broke that down in his video, which was made shortly after Adesanya made his comments. And Moicano then responded to Dan Hooker, who we haven't heard much from, and he said that he would like to fight Renato Moicano. And, well, you can see Moicano's response here, and it's pretty damn good.
You want Moicano to win so you can...
I'd like to fight him.
I like that fight too. What, you like the matchup?
That's like, I look at him and I hear him speak and I'm just like, fuck, I wanna punch you.
Man, Dan Hooker, you are easy money for Money Moicano, my brother. Let me tell you something. Easy. Easy. Look what I did with Jalen Turner. You're gonna be even easier, my brother.
Off, like, I don't know, I like him. I like him too. I've got no...
Is that anything to you? No?
No, nothing.
You just don't like the way it sounds?
Nah, I just don't like people say that, oh, you know, I just don't like the sound of his voice. I don't like the look on his face.
It be like that sometimes. Sometimes you see something, you're like, fuck that guy. I think that was Victoria the first time.
Oh, what's your reason? It's like,
I want to fight.
do I need a reason?
It's a fight. That is the end of the early prelims. Click on the next video to watch the...
So, I win, you lose, motherfuckers.
So that was a good response from Moicano, and the reason I say that is because Dan Hooker has been going at people for years, which is fine. As he said, he can do whatever he wants, but it was about time somebody responded to him, and Moicano was actually more clear and concise, despite English being his second language, than Dan Hooker was. So, go figure. And Dan Hooker's a fiery guy, so I can only imagine he wants to respond to this. And we will wait and see. I mean, Dan Hooker, say what you want about him, the guy fights like a warrior. He doesn't know any other way to fight. Like, this is not a New Zealand version of Kevin Lee, put it that way. And in terms of the fight, now looking at the updated rankings, it does make sense, because you have Dan Hooker moving down to number 11 because he's been inactive, and Moicano is ranked number 10 now. So, in that sense, it kind of makes sense. And Moicano's talked about wanting to get the money. He said in that video that Dan Hooker is easy money, and Dan Hooker is a name. He always brings fun fights. Moicano took the fight to Jalen Turner like a warrior, and he actually had a more dominant victory than Dan Hooker did, which that was Dan Hooker's best victory, his last win over Jalen Turner. So it does kind of put things in perspective, and I think, again, the fight should happen. Again, Moicano could be calling somebody out who is higher ranked than him, like Fiziev or Benil Dariush or Mateusz Gamrot, but if he wants, again, a fun fight, one that's going to make him money, one that could get fight of the night, go for Dan Hooker. That is a good choice. And Dan Hooker, in my opinion, does need to redeem himself to an extent, because, again, when you talk as much as him and you fight the way he does, then the fans really don't have a reason to be disappointed. But if you're not fighting and you're still making that noise, then fans have a right to say, well, you just got called out by a guy who finished the guy who pushed you. And also, fans in general are getting quite tired of city kickboxing, simply because a lot of them are acting like major hypocrites. And it's actually kind of hard to pinpoint who is the biggest hypocrite. I thought for a while it was Eugene Behrman, then I thought it was Israel Adesanya, and even Kai Kara France has become a bit of a hypocrite because of how he responded to Manel Kape when he was called out last year. And again, Dan Hooker can dislike whoever he wants, but it is pretty rich for him to talk about somebody being unlikable because of what they say. I mean, that is very, very ironic. But I think the fight makes sense. I like Moicano's call-out, or response to Dan Hooker's call-out, and let's see what Dan Hooker says. I mean, he talked in his video about wanting to fight in June. Moicano has been saying he wants to fight at UFC 301. I don't know if that's going to happen, but if it does, then the Brazilian fans get a treat. Moicano has also been making the most of his time after UFC 300 because he's been on the MMA Hour, he's been on Michael Bisping's show. He really is getting his name out there very well, and like I said, if you watch his video, which I highly recommend, he is funny. So yeah, I am all for Money Moicano. I look forward to seeing who his next fight is against. Let me know what you guys think down below. Like the video and subscribe to the channel for more, as always.